Good evening, I'm David Wendell with BushcraftOnFire. Welcome to another episode of Almost Naked into the Bush. Today we're going to be making a coiled basket. Actually tomorrow we're going to be. What we're doing this evening is getting our utensils ready. We need to make a little needle to weave with, and we also need to prepare some yucca cordage. So what we're going to do is show you how to do that on this video. What I've done is I've taken a jawbone from a cow and I've just broken a piece off the back end. Actually, if you just take this and smash it with a rock, it'll shatter into pieces, which is what I've done. And I've taken one of the pieces that was usable for me, and I've begun to grind it down on sandstone. Now the best way to make a sandstone, I've got a piece of sandstone here, and I've just taken the sandstone and breaking it up on there and mash it until it becomes sand, and then it's usable to use as a grinding powder. And I just take a little bit and put in here and begin to grind that out. Now I've already set this blank to the place where it's in decent shape. It's going to take me a while to do this because this abrasion process is a little slow. But what I've done is I've started to smooth off both sides of that, and I've also started to smooth off the top end. And if you can see a little indent there, that little indent I've started with a rock, and we're going to continue till that indent is all the way through. But we got to get this thin enough first. It's a little bit thicker than what we want right now. We want it about 3/4 of that size, and it's going to come down to a taper on this end. You can see that I've begun to round that out. I do that just by going across the rock this way, and that will actually begin to taper that off to the point to where we can actually break it. So we're going to braid this for a little more, and once we get it braided, we'll get back with you and make the hole. Alright, what I'm doing now, we've braided that down and we broke it off. It snapped pretty easy. And I'm using a smaller rock that I can hold in my hand just because it makes it a little easier. And I'm getting this into the basic shape that I want it for my needle. It's going to be a pretty good little needle, I think. A little shorter than I like, but it's okay, it's going to work. So we're going to get that into shape. And again, you can see the sandstone makes pretty quick work. It braids that out pretty nicely. We're going to have a pretty flat point on the end of this, so I've got to do a little bit of a braiding yet. Once I get this braided down, get it a little bit flatter on top, get another point on here that's a little stronger, that should guide our cordage through the coiled basket. All we'll have to do is put a hole in the back end, and it's about 1/4 of the way to halfway through it already. So let me get going on this, we'll braid it some more, and we'll be back with you. Alright, I think we've got that in pretty good shape for the project we're doing. You can see at the point is pointed but not real sharp. It's come down to a nice narrow. I may work out a little bit more up here, get a little bit narrower. Think of making an arrowhead kind of shape. So I may work off this edge a little bit to let it guide through the wood a bit. But all we have left to do is to put our hole in here. So let's get a rock and let's go ahead and do that. Alright, what I'm doing basically is I've got a piece of flint and I'm just drilling a hole. As I do, I'm putting a little sand in there. That'll keep that hole nice and braided. We'll blow it out every couple of minutes there. Put a little more sand in. I think I'm going to change my rock here, get something that's a little more pointed, and I'll be right back. I've chipped off another flake, and as you can see, this is a lot more pointed, so I get that there in the hole, and I'm going to be gentle. I don't want to break my rock. I just want to braid, and I think the rock's breaking a bit, but that's okay. It's taking some of that out of there as well. So we're just going to braid with that for a few minutes. You want to be careful when you're doing this, because you're going to get little flakes everywhere, and those flakes are sharp, so it's best if you're doing this to wear eye protection if you have it, and to be real careful. What we'll do is get about halfway through this and then go back and start from the other side. You can see I've changed out my rock again. it's taking this rock apart pretty fast, so I found another one that's got a nice point that was a little thicker. What I want to do is be careful that this hole doesn't get too broad. You can see it's really going through there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark it, just basically looking straight down on the piece, and I'm going to start going through from the other side as well. And hopefully those will meet in the middle somewhere in just a few minutes, and we'll be through it. You can see that's starting to break that bone down. Again, doing this without tools is not the easiest way. If I had my little Swiss Army knife with the awl, I'd have been through this about 10 minutes ago already. We've been at it for about 12 minutes, but we're going to get it. You can see it's getting very opaque, which means that it's just about ready to go. I can just about see through it, see light through it when I shine it up to the sun. So a little bit more drilling, and I think we've got it. You can hear the difference there when I put that sand in. It really abrades it quickly. What I want to do is be real careful here, because I'm about to break through, and I don't want to chip the bone when I do that. I want it to stay a nice smooth base. Once we go ahead and get that done, then we will be able to turn it out with a thorn or something that's a little bit straighter. What I've done is I made a piece of bone to go through this last bit. It's real sharp. Three-sided little triangular piece. I just abraded it down. And we're going to see if that'll go through and make that final hole. And I think I just about got through right there. Feels like it slipped through. Do the other side a little bit, and I think we'll be able to see air through there. Or see light. I guess you can't see air. Alright, good. Well, I don't know if you can see that hole, but we just got through. So what we're going to do is keep turning this and make that hole a little bit bigger now. I've used that piece of bone, and it's worked real well. I'm going to sharpen it up again here in a minute and just keep a little bit of sand in there, and we're going to expand that hole so that it gets a little bit bigger. We need it big enough to put our cordage through. That's all the bigger it needs to get. We don't have to work it for hours. Doesn't have to be a nice hole like you see in a regular needle or anything. Turn it over and work this end a little bit. You want to be careful once you get in here, because that's going to start really getting thinned out, and we don't want it to get so thin that it breaks the bone. So there we go. We've got a hole. We're going to finish up the edges on this, make that hole a little bit bigger, and we've got our needle done. Well, we've got the needle done, and it looks pretty good. So now let's get on to making cordage from yucca. We've had a few requests on how to make cordage from yucca, and so what I want to do is to show you that today. Now, you don't have to dry out the yucca leaves. You can use them green, and that's the method we're going to use today. We're going to make about 20 foot or so of cordage to start, and then if we have to make more later, we'll do so. But I think the 20 foot should just about complete our coiled basket, so that's what we're going to do next.